JavaScript. I'm sure you must have heard by now the terms interpreted and compiled within the context of programming. And I can say that JavaScript is a lightweight interpreted programming language, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? But basically, it brings action to the content of an HTML document. So that means it helps to create dynamic pages so that you can, make these pages interactive, basically, with the users. It is capable of storing values inside variables, doing string, mathematical, and graphical operations. It can also detect if any event happens on the page. And of course, it can do so much more. So we talked a little bit about it earlier in the web browser section. After the HTML and CSS have been assembled and put together into a web page, JavaScript is executed by the browser's JavaScript engine. And then this ensures that the structure and style of the page are already in place by the time that the JavaScript starts to run. That's why it's common to use JavaScript to dynamically modify HTML and CSS in a document via the Document Object Model API. So this feature is also very handy for web pen testers to run payloads. That's why we're talking about it. So we're going to be using JavaScript, way too much. But we're going to be using JavaScript a lot to manipulate the behavior of the victim's browser. So besides having a general programming languages feature, JavaScript can raise its capability with the use of APIs. Now, browser APIs are built into a web browser and are usually capable of exposing data from the surrounding computer environment, or to do even more useful, complex things. But think of it this way. You can even get data from the victim's computer environment. So I will now explain to you how JavaScript can be used within a web page. So like CSS, there are 3 ways to add JavaScript into a document. An external JavaScript file can be linked to the document, as I'll do here in this sample page. This file can be stored either on a local server or a remote server. Now, this example main.js is on the same server, and it contains this tiny code. And now the second way is by using a JavaScript internally, like I mark here. Now, it works completely the same, but it's on the page that is affected. And the third one is using inline JavaScript code. Now, sometimes you may hear of server-side JavaScript. Yeah, there is a concept out there like that. For example, Node.js, that's an environment that works this way. But it's not in the context or scope of this course.